Celebrated for their vitamins and antioxidants, they're high in sugars, particularly in high GI varieties like watermelon, GI 76, and dates, GI 103. Can trigger rapid blood glucose spikes followed by precipitous crashes that leave muscles starved for fuel and induce early fatigue. This glycemic roller coaster is compounded by fruits rich in fructose, such as mangoes and apples, whose hepatic metabolism can divert energy away from working muscles, leading to diminished power output during exertion. Moreover, consuming large amounts of fruit juice or overripe bananas before exercise bypasses much of the fruit's natural fiber, accelerating carbohydrate absorption and heightening the risk of reactive hypoglycemia, which manifests as lightheadedness and muscle weakness. In addition, FODMAP-rich fruits, like apples and mangoes, can ferment in the gut, producing gas and bloating that physically restrict diaphragmatic movement and core stability, further eroding strength and endurance. Even fruits prized for their acidity, such as oranges and pomegranate, can provoke gastroesophageal reflux in sensitive individuals, thereby disrupting breathing patterns critical for maximal lift or sprint efforts. Timing also matters. Ingesting high GI fruits too close to a workout can exacerbate insulin-mediated uptake of glucose into non-muscle tissues, leaving skeletal muscle underfueled just when it needs energy most. Conversely, overconsumption of unripe or low GI fruits can lead to digestive distress through resistant starch and soluble fiber fermentation, causing cramps and discomfort that blunt strength output. Taken together, these metabolic and mechanical effects demonstrate that even wholesome fruits can undermine muscular strength if selected, prepared, or timed inappropriately around exercise. Number 1. Banana. Here's an in-depth, paragraph-by-paragraph analysis of how bananas can impair strength, exploring their composition, glycemic effects, and practical implications, supported by diverse, high-quality citations. Bananas are prized for their convenient sweetness and rich potassium content, but their carbohydrate profile can provoke rapid blood sugar shifts that undermine muscle performance. A typical medium banana contains about 27 g of carbohydrates, mostly in the form of free sugars and starch, with a glycemic index, GI, of 42 to 45, classifying it as a moderate GI food. When consumed alone, these carbs can be quickly absorbed, spiking blood glucose and triggering an equally swift insulin release, which may lead to a rebound hypoglycemia or sugar crash that leaves muscles starved for fuel during prolonged exertion. This insulin-mediated crash impairs strength by reducing available circulating glucose at a critical time. In a crossover trial comparing bananas to a sugar beverage and water, plasma glucose surged after banana ingestion but then dipped sharply 1 to 1.5 hours post-exercise, precisely when muscle recovery and subsequent strength efforts begin, resulting in reported feelings of fatigue and reduced power output. Such fluctuations blunt the sustained ATP production vital for strength and endurance. Bananas' high sugar content also means they lack the macronutrient balance needed for optimal muscle maintenance. With negligible protein, only 1.3 g per medium fruit, and minimal fat, bananas fail to provide the amino acids required for muscle protein synthesis. Without concurrent protein intake, muscles cannot fully repair micro-tears incurred during resistance exercise, compounding strength loss over time. Moreover, the fruit's fiber content, while beneficial for digestion, can be a double-edged sword pre-workout. A medium banana delivers about 3 g of fiber, soluble pectin, and resistant starch in unripe fruit that slows gastric emptying. While this moderates blood sugar spikes, it can also cause gastrointestinal discomfort, bloating, cramping, in sensitive individuals, distracting from strength performance and reducing neuromuscular focus. Banana ripeness critically influences these effects. As bananas ripen, starch converts to sugars, raising the GI from 43 in unripe fruit to 74 in overripe. Overripe bananas therefore provoke even more pronounced insulin responses and subsequent energy lulls, making them particularly ill-suited as a lone pre-strength snack. Number 2. Apple. Below is a detailed, paragraph-by-paragraph exploration of how apples could impair strength, drawing on existing nutritional science. In brief, there is no credible evidence that apples kill strength, but under certain conditions, timing, quantity, individual tolerance, apple consumption may transiently blunt performance or contribute to fatigue. After the analysis, you'll find the list of key sources consulted and why they proved unhelpful for demonstrating any direct strength-killing effect. Summary of key findings. Despite popular myths, apples do not directly reduce muscle strength or cause long-term performance deficits. However, patterns of consumption, especially large quantities or eating immediately pre-exercise, can lead to transient insulin spikes, gastrointestinal discomfort, or relative energy deficits that may blunt strength and endurance in the short term. Individual factors, e.g., fructose malabsorption, gastric sensitivity, further modulate these effects. Overall, apples remain a largely beneficial low-glycemic fruit, and any strength-impairing consequences are secondary to atypical consumption patterns or unique medical conditions. The nutritional profile of apples are composed primarily of water, almost equals 85%, carbohydrates, almost equals 14%, fiber, almost equals 2%, with minimal protein and fat. Their carbohydrate content is over 90% simple sugars, fructose, glucose, and sucrose, delivered alongside soluble pectin fiber. This profile gives apples a low glycemic index, almost equals 36, meaning they usually release glucose slowly into the bloodstream, avoiding the sharp insulin spikes associated with high GI foods. However, the fructose component must be metabolized by the liver before it becomes available for muscle use. In susceptible individuals, high fructose loads can exceed hepatic clearance capacity, leading to gastrointestinal distress, bloating, cramping, and potential transient fatigue. 2. Timing matters. Pre-exercise apple intake. Eating a carbohydrate source immediately before resistance training can cause an insulin surge, transiently suppressing lipolysis, fat burning, and shifting substrate use toward glucose. While this can support short efforts, if the insulin peak and subsequent drop occur during a strength session, athletes may experience a crash, low blood sugar feelings, reduced power output, and early onset fatigue. Number 3. Dates. While dates are nutrient-dense fruits valued for their fiber, vitamins, and minerals, eating them in large quantities or at inopportune times can lead to blood sugar spikes, insulin crashes, gastrointestinal distress, and weight gain, each of which can undermine muscular strength and performance. Furthermore, their high fructose content may exacerbate oxidative stress if consumed in excess. However, no clinical trials or observational studies specifically demonstrate that eating dates reduces muscle strength. The links are inferred from general principles of exercise physiology and nutrition. Dates contain roughly 63 to 66 grams of carbohydrates per 100 grams, of which about 45 g are sugars, mainly glucose and fructose, blood sugar spikes. Consuming a large serving of dates, e.g., 100 grams equals 10 dates, can cause a rapid rise in blood glucose, triggering a correspondingly large insulin release to clear the sugar from the bloodstream. That acute hyperinsulinemia can lead to a subsequent crash, characterized by hypoglycemia, fatigue, and reduced neuromuscular drive, undermining strength and endurance in training or competition. Insulin and muscle performance. While insulin is anabolic at rest, a high-amplitude insulin spike far above baseline levels can promote peripheral vasodilation and transient hypotension, potentially impairing muscle perfusion during exertion and blunting peak force output. Fructose metabolism. Dates are high in fructose, which is metabolized in the liver. Excess fructose intake may promote de novo lipogenesis and insulin resistance over time, eroding the muscle's insulin sensitivity and nutrient uptake, factors vital for both strength maintenance and recovery. Gastrointestinal distress and hydration. High fiber content, 6 to 8 grams per 100 grams, and concentrated sugars in dates can lead to bloating and cramping. Rapid fermentation of soluble fibers and sugars in the gut may produce gas, causing abdominal distension and cramping. Discomfort of this sort can limit range of motion and reduce force production during lifts or sprints. Osmotic imbalance. The high sugar load draws water into the intestinal lumen, risking diarrhea or loose stools in sensitive individuals. Poor fluid balance directly undermines muscle function, coordination, and strength. Dehydration risk. Gastrointestinal fluid losses combined with inadequate replacement impair intracellular hydration of muscle cells, diminishing cross-bridge cycling efficiency and peak power output. Number 4. Oranges. Excess vitamin C can impair mitochondrial biogenesis. High-dose vitamin C, whether from supplements or very large servings of orange juice, can neutralize the exercise-induced reactive oxygen species, ROS. signal that drives mitochondrial growth. In both animal and human studies, 1G/day of ascorbic acid prevented activation of PGC-1-alpha, a master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis, leading to reduced endurance capacity. Blunted muscle signaling pathways. In trained men, combined high-dose vitamin C plus E supplements attenuated phosphorylation of key kinases P70S6K, P38, ERK1/2 after resistance exercise, signals critical for muscle adaptation. While overall muscle size wasn't significantly different, strength gains were smaller in the supplemented group. Glycemic spikes and energy crashes. Rapid sugar absorption. Oranges contain 12G sugar per fruit, mostly fructose and glucose. A rapid influx of simple sugars can trigger a high insulin response, potentially leading to a hypoglycemic rebound during prolonged exercise, causing fatigue and transient strength loss. Fructose-induced dehydration risk. High fructose loads can increase intestinal water secretion, sometimes leading to mild dehydration and cramps in endurance settings, which indirectly impairs strength and performance. Gastrointestinal and acid load effects. Citrate-driven acid load. Oranges are rich in citric acid, 0.8G/100G, which in large amounts can cause gastric discomfort or acid reflux, especially if consumed immediately before intense exercise. GI distress can sharply reduce power output and strength capacity. Fiber-related GI distress. A single orange provides 3G fiber. Eating several pre-workout can lead to cramping, bloating, and urgent bowel movements, symptoms that clearly undermine performance. Number 5. Mango. Mangoes are high in natural sugars, 22 to 24 gram per cup, and potassium almost equals 277 mg per cup, with moderate fiber, 2.6 gram per cup, and a medium glycemic index, 51. When consumed in large amounts or under specific circumstances, this combination can spike then crash blood glucose, leading to transient fatigue and reduced muscle performance. Cause gastrointestinal distress, bloating, gas, constipation. From fiber overload, diverting blood flow from muscles to digestion. Induce hyperkalemia, high blood potassium, when overeaten, triggering painful muscle cramps and weakness. Delay or blunt inflammatory responses, potentially hampering the acute inflammation needed for muscle adaptation after exercise. Interact with hydration status. Since mango's osmotic load can transiently shift fluids and electrolytes, affecting muscle contractions. Sugar spikes and subsequent energy crashes. Mangoes contain 22 to 24 gram of natural sugars per cup, mostly fructose and glucose, and have a moderate glycemic index, 51. While a single serving produces a gradual glucose rise, larger or very ripe mango portions can cause rapid hyperglycemia followed by reactive hypoglycemia as insulin overcompensates. During this blood sugar roller coaster, muscle cells receive uneven energy supply, initially abundant, then scarce, which manifests as mid-workout fatigue, weakness, and diminished strength output. Athletes have long recognized the sugar trap. Consuming high GI carbs without protein or fat dilutes performance. Unlike complex carbs, mango sugars lack the sustaining effect, so muscles run out of fuel suddenly. A low GI, mixed macronutrient snack is preferable within an hour before strength training to maintain steady ADP generation. Gastrointestinal distress and blood flow redistribution. A cup of mango provides approximately 2.6 gram of fiber, good for digestion overall, but when eaten rapidly or in excess, this fiber can overwhelm gut motility. Number 6. Pomegranate. A comprehensive search of PubMed, clinical trials registries, and sports nutrition reviews yielded 0 studies demonstrating that pomegranate consumption reduces strength. Instead, randomized controlled trials show either improved recovery, reduced muscle soreness, or unchanged performance metrics. This absence of negative findings across multiple high-quality trials strongly argues that pomegranate does not kill strength. In several crossover trials, resistance-trained men performed maximal strength tests after acute pomegranate supplementation versus placebo. One key study found no significant difference in knee extension strength post-exercise between pomegranate juice and placebo groups. Similarly, a trial of trained cyclists observed no decrement in isokinetic leg press force after pomegranate extract. Despite improvements in time to exhaustion metrics, multiple studies highlight pomegranate's anti-inflammatory and antioxidant polyphenol that accelerate the return of strength post-workout rather than diminish it. In elite weightlifters, Pomegranate juice led to an 8.3% higher total lifted weight and lower rate of perceived exertion compared to placebo. Another randomized trial reported that elbow flexion strength was significantly higher over a 168-hour recovery period when pomegranate juice was consumed pre- and post-eccentric exercise. Pomegranate's bioactive compounds, elagitannins, punicalagins, and anthocyanins exert vasodilatory, anti-inflammatory, and free radical scavenging effects. These properties support blood flow, nutrient delivery, and muscle repair. Far from impairing contractile function, they enhance oxygen and substrate delivery, which would be expected to preserve or improve strength, not diminish it. While excessive pomegranate ingestion can cause mild GI upset, diarrhea, or bloating in sensitive individuals, these symptoms are gastrointestinal rather than neuromuscular, and they do not directly reduce muscle contractility or maximal force output. No study links pomegranate's tannins or sugars to direct reductions in muscle. Pomegranate can interact with certain drugs, e.g., statins, blood pressure medications, by inhibiting cytochrome P450 enzymes. However, these interactions affect drug metabolism, not the biochemical pathways of muscle contraction or strength. Such pharmacokinetic effects are distinct from any putative influence on athletic